welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danika. With me, we have the Parish President of St. Mary Parish, Mr. David Hanagriff. We've got a lot to cover, and I know you're chomping at the bit to get to this first question, and I'm going to go to it. I'm going to actually go right to it. If you guys recall, we actually had an interview with both the Parish President, who was quite the vocal opponent to the school board sales tax increase, and we also had the actual superintendent as well to come in and actually talk to us, who was, I would imagine, is also a proponent of the tax. But now, knowing that you were such an opponent, the actual tax passed, I want to know what's your response to that?
My response is this, and I stated earlier, is that I am happy for the teachers. I am saddened for the school board and the fact that they were once again bailed out. Okay. When you and the overall turnout, 15%, less than 15% turnout, which was, I believe, by design. It was an off election, only thing on the ballot. Cost them probably estimated about $50,000 cost just to have that only thing on the ballot, and it worked because less than 15% turnout, it passed. And again, happy for teachers, disappointed for school board, but again, just not happy.
Okay, so let's address. I don't like talking about rumors per se, but I think there's maybe some misconceptions, let's just say that. So when this sales tax came about, most people were thinking it was just for teachers. It wasn't. Right. It was for any employee at the school board. So that would include also the superintendent.
Yes, that is correct. It was, of course, they originally put out teachers because that's the right thing to do. We're gonna dress this up nice and pretty and put it on teachers, but it was also for support staff. And of course, support staff is janitors, cafeteria workers, and of course, paraprofessionals, yes. The maintenance individuals in the maintenance department, and of course, the people that work in the central office, secretaries, supervisors, people like that. Administration, all the way up. So it's for everybody. So I think if people weren't aware of that, then I think they should have, because I knew about that, and everyone else knew about it. But yeah, it was for everyone, so everyone got a raise.
And I like to say this, if they just pay attention to the Voice of the Coast with yours truly, they would have known that as well. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I think a lot of times you don't read the fine print. We all don't. Sometimes we miss that and we just sign off because we know that's the right thing to do. However, it's important to know what you're signing off on, what are you going to the ballot for, and that's why I asked both of you to come here on that particular day. Now, of course, another source of contention is the fact that the superintendent also received a bonus. However, I have a question, and I know that's something too that you were also against, and so many other people may have been kind of vocal about that, but that is something that's done annually.
I believe it's done annually. I know.
I'm just going to make sure people know it's an addition. That was an additional bonus that was actually approved by the school board.
Correct. I think, and again, this is my estimate on base where it was. I think the overall compensation of the superintendent was increased by $12,000. Now, how it was broken up, maybe a certain portion came from the sales tax generated or potential sales tax that's coming versus a bonus. I know she had an assessment that was done before the vote, but they didn't act on any bonuses from that until after the vote. And so that's probably all tied together. But again, it's the same thing I was saying before, is that the school board themselves, I believe their funding is there. I believe it was wrong the way it was done. I was accused of being a poor leader for coming out and trying to inform people on my stance on where it was, which I think is the most ridiculous thing in the world, a poor leader doing my job as far as the economy. The business community were called names. I think the name was used, cave people, citizens against virtually everything. But that's okay. I got a new plan for economics. Okay, this is what we're going to do now. New businesses that are going to come to St. Mary Parish, we're going to do this. We're going to raise your taxes, and we're going to call you names. So moving forward, that's my strategy. Good strategy? What do you think?
I'm not going to comment on that.
It's an awful strategy.
It is, but I see where you're going with this, and yes. That's why, and just for the record, I'm also opening up the platform to our superintendent to also come in and also talk about what has happened. I think we should be here together. Well, we're still dealing with, this whole pandemic, and I don't
Absolutely.
want, people to get up in arms about two people sitting next to each other. But I do want to have you voice what's, your opinion, but also why you felt like it was necessary to oppose the sales tax. And look, I think a lot of, it sounds like, not that everyone on social media represents the public, but it is a portion of the public. And I think just to clarify some things, that's why I like having you as well as anybody else on the show to actually clarify some misconceptions or maybe even to voice your opinion about it. But we're going to take a break.
Okay.
We'll come back.
And again, I want to say I am happy for the support staff and the teachers. I'm really happy they got the money they deserve. It should have happened a different way.
All right, we're going to take a break, but come on back right here on The Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I'm your host, Danika Foley. With me, we have Parish President, our very own Parish President, Mr. David Hanagriff, right here in St. Mary Parish. And we've kind of talked a little bit about the school board tax. And I told you I was going to give you that opportunity to talk about that sales tax increase, and you've given us your response, and we're moving forward. However, let's talk about what's next. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to be next as far as your stance and the school board?
Well, what's next is this, is that, of course, I gave my point of view. I argued my case, and I tried to plead to the people of St. Mary Parish the direction we needed to go, because, again, that's part of what I'm responsible for. Well, clearly, I'm moving on. I'm not going to harp on what's happened. I'm making that statement right now, but we're going to go with what we have and move forward. So we'll move forward with that. That's behind us, and I'll continue to fight for lower taxes throughout St. Mary Parish from here on out.
Okay. Next up on the agenda, definitely is something that has been in the press. We probably would have had it first, but I had an emergency I had to take care of, so we had to actually postpone our initial interview, but we'll talk about it now, and we'll talk about the animal shelter. Mm-hmm. That has kind of really garnered a lot of interest in the community. I've actually been approached several times to talk about the animal shelter. Now, of course, with the pictures that I received of look like poor animals, just pretty much a lot of neglect. The shelter, our parish animal shelter, it's not up to par. It's not giving these animals the proper treatment that they deserve.
Well, first and foremost, at St. Mary Parish Animal Shelter, there is no neglect or abuse going on. What people have to understand is this, is that when you pick up these stray animals, okay, they're on the streets. They're not in the best conditions in the first place. You're not picking these up from people's houses where they're taking care of them. And you're not picking them up from a pet store. You're picking them up from the streets. So, of course, they're coming in with certain conditions, certain ailments to start off with. And the fact that people are saying that they're being abused at the clinic, no. At the animal shelter, absolutely not. Now, are they in the best of care, best of shape when they get there? No. If there are issues that are concerned, I heard issues about broken bones and things like this. If an animal has broken bones, or if that animal is determined to need medical attention to that degree, then we reach out. We'll get that animal help. And we reach out through advocacy groups that we currently work with right now, through their network, and we'll get that animal the care. But again, because of funding, we do not have a veterinarian on staff. And I think that's what the biggest issue right now is this, with the group that's really out there. And again, I'm not trying to downplay it. I think they would like these animals to get, a checkup from a vet right off the bat when they get there. They want all the shots, the best treatment and care, and we just don't have the funding to do that.
So, well, let's talk about the funding. Let's talk about how can we streamline that and get back into the black and get out of the red. And I understand that there are a couple of ways to do that. That is also, one would be to increase the adoption fees. Also, one would be to increase the fees that you would impose on the cities to bring these animals and have them housed at the animal shelter. Are those options even being talked about at this point with your council?
Well, not right now, but they're going to be, clearly, because the council's engaged on this. I have numerous council members that have already went to the shelter, and started investigating, looking to be, because they're concerned too. But the breakdown is this. Currently, right now, we're probably in the red, a deficit of $150,000 to $200,000 a year that we're in the red for the animal shelter. Every year. We get cited for this every year because of the amount of money that's being spent there that we can't charge. The only way we charge monies right now are through the fees, which again is roughly around $100 for adoption fees, rescue of a dog, and in that, $50 is going towards a voucher for that dog to get spayed or neutered and some vaccines. and of course the monies we get from the cities when they bring animals to the shelter. The only way to increase those funds is increase either one of those fees,
Yeah.
and that's something that the council will have to look at going forward because they have the authority to do that.
Right.
But I tell everyone this, and again, at the shelter, if I may, you have Ivory Francois, who's been there, and the assistant, been there almost, between them, 60 years of experience. Anybody can go to the shelter. I'll welcome you to go. Go to the shelter. Do an inspection. Every Saturday, we have an advocacy group in St. Mary Parish that goes there. Joy Sander runs it. She goes every Saturday, and so please go. Check it out for yourself.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that when we come back. We've already used up this time, but we're going to come back. We have another break. But come right back to KWBJ for the Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I'm your host, Danika Foley. With me, we have our Parish President, David Hanagriff. And right now, we're talking about the animal shelter. And I just want to talk about that because that had been kind of a topic that had come up and has now gotten into the press. We would have had the story first. However, I had to postpone it, but that's okay. I was able to get some valuable information that I wanted to bring forth to you. Of course, there have been talks of neglect and just poor treatment on the animals. You said that's not true, and that these are animals that pretty much come off the street that are typically already in poor condition. And of course, you ended off by saying the two assistant and the actual supervisor on staff have about 60 years experience between the two of them. So I want to ask you, of course, there's two people and then there's additional employees, right? So of course, one of my questions is, I've gone to rescue sites at some point in my life, and typically there's like a wash day for these animals at least once a week. Do we have that? I mean, I know we're not looking at a grooming service because that's totally different, and that is definitely more of a luxury. But are these animals groomed on at least a weekly basis?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how often they are washed. I know the kennels and the facility is taken care of and it's clean. But it's definitely not a grooming service. You know, we're not sitting there grooming these dogs to the extent you're going to see when you pick them up from a groomer. But we're doing the best we can. And I tell everyone this, and like I mentioned to you earlier, anyone that's concerned, the audience out there, you can go to the shelter. You can call, you can go. Please go and look at the animals. Maybe there's an animal you might want to adopt. But it's open to everyone, and we're not hiding anything. Just this last Saturday, just about every Saturday, Joy Sanders with the advocate group, they come to the shelter just about every Saturday. This last Saturday, 2 council members actually were there. They went because, again, of the recent issues with it, went there and they met with some of the group and to see the facility. I'll welcome you to go, and I'll welcome anyone else to go. It's not the perfect situation, but I can assure the people out there, we're doing the very best we can and give the best possible care we can with the means and the funding that we have.
And I'd like to at least say this because, I mean, we got to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the question now is, if we're in the red, we've got to get some more money going into this facility. The numbers you just quoted me, that's
it's substantial.
That's an exponential amount of money that we're in the red for. Do you think it's likely that we could pass something on to the cities to increase that cost, and also even adoption fees? Now, I know right now adoption fees are about $100. However, you guys pretty much give $50 back in a voucher.
Right.
Would it be too much to bring that up to about $150? You're going to get $50 back.
And we can. Of course, we can raise those fees. My fear with raising the fees are, if you make it, even more expensive, that the animals won't actually get adopted. So we want to get them adopted first and foremost, no matter what. And we don't want to jeopardize that. But I think there could be some potential in there. And also, the cities, they're strapped with budgets just like we are. But of course, there's room for there as far as improving those fees. But at the end of the day, you're never going to make up $150,000. So no matter what, we're going to be in the red no matter what.
Well, we got to close that gap some kind of way.
We do.
We have to. And I think, you mentioned about the advocacy groups. And look, a lot of these people who, they give their time tirelessly to check on animals. And let me tell you, some of them have to use their own resources. And I don't think that's fair.
And they do. And no, look, all the ones, and even the ones that are somewhat criticizing what we're doing, they're all doing the best job that they can. And of course, they give their time. Joy Sanders and her staff and everyone that works with them, they're volunteers. So they do a tremendous amount. And of course, you're right, they put their own money up, And even the critics, they put their own money up because they love these animals. I love animals, and I don't want any harm or the poor conditions that come towards these animals either, but we live in the real world. Is it perfect? Is the animal shelter perfect? No, but not by any means. Do certain things fall through the cracks? I'm sure they do. But again, we're doing the very best we possibly can, but I can assure you that the animals are not being abused and neglected.
Okay. Now, when we come back, we do have to take another break, but when we come back, I definitely will talk about the landfill. I'll tell you what we're talking about when it comes to the landfill, and also just economic development. All right, you guys come on back right here on KWVJ. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. We've got a little 5 minutes, so I'm going to get right to it. I told you before we went to break, we want to talk about the landfill. Now, I bring this up because in Morgan City, about 2 months ago, we had a very successful run at picking up litter in the city, all parts of the city. And I want to just say it was a great turnout. I was actually a part of it, so I can actually speak on it. It was great to see the city as clean as it was, and hopefully more and more people will start to take pride in their own city, not just Morgan City. I believe all across the parish there are going to be efforts to pick up trash within your own neighborhood. And I say this because I don't think a lot of people know that there are transfer sites at the landfill where you yourself can drop off trash. Places like the city, like you live in Morgan City, sometimes they charge you a fee if you leave out your appliances on the side of the road. However, if you have access to a truck, you can go right over to the landfill and dump it. They're like little stalls. You can back up into it and just drop it off. No fee, no questions asked. And I just don't know if many people know about that. And I'd just like to maybe give more advance notice of that.
Correct. Open to the public. Of course, commercial, waste, you're charged for it. You go over the scales. But it's actually open. You have the dump on this end of the parish. And you have the transfer station on Northwest Boulevard in Franklin. And they have the stalls there where you can basically bring your appliances, metal goods, trees, different debris. You can bring them there and drop them off.
Yeah, so it's just pretty much a pull up and drop off type of system.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now let's talk about economic development.
Yes.
We have a new economic development director who's now been in his position, I would imagine, about 4 or 5 months.
About 4 months,
yeah,
yes.
about 4 months. What's your opinion of the work that he's doing so far?
Right now, everything is going according to plan. We talked about initially that his first month or 2 months was going to be the transition period. Him coming in and actually understanding the parish, the old system as far as economics, going out and meeting people, making the contacts he needs to. And currently, right now, he is actually working on 2 prospects, 2 potential businesses. One of them's oil field related, one of them's agricultural. Between the 2, there's a potential of 80 jobs, and both of those look really good. He is also working right now on the American Rescue Plan, which is the funding for businesses with COVID, and he's developing and going through it and finding the benefits as far as grants and funding for local businesses and restaurants, and issuing letters to these businesses to let them know the different opportunities they have to take advantage of them from the funds that are out there. So he's working heavily on that, trying to notify our current businesses that we have. He's also working with LED, Louisiana Economic Development, and revamping the available sites that are here in St. Mary Parish to get those promoted. So he's doing a lot right now, and it's moving forward pretty good.
Now, when you say the oil field related business, does that mean that there's a chance that it may come back, or is this just kind of an isolated situation here?
I think there is still great opportunity in the oil field. Okay, I know people are watching.
You're a believer, aren't you?
I'm a believer. Will it be like it was? Absolutely not. We all are aware of that. However, people right now, solar and wind aren't there. So oil field, there's opportunity for money there. There are still permits and leases that are out there right now. So we're going to look at all the above, the current oil field and, of course, other prospects.
How soon do we expect to have those businesses pretty much up and running online in our area?
Currently, right now, this is the preliminary phase as far as what's available, as far as interacting with them on what opportunities they have. And so it's still, a little ways down the road.
Okay.
But the most important part is we are working towards it. We are engaging with businesses that want to come here and new businesses coming to St. Mary Parish.
Yeah. We also have our fairs and festivals are starting to kind of kick off. I think
Yes.
Morgan City as well as Berg will have a 4th of July celebration. We've already had a couple of markets that have sprung up. Also, we have S&P is going to be returning. Franklin has also held its market. I believe there's going to be even a parish-wide market vendor style event. So, I mean, has the economic development director been kind of working with, let's say Cajun Coast or with some of these other entities?
He's currently active with everybody right now, which again, I'm excited about it. You definitely sound excited when you mention all those things going forward. That's what we need. I mean, those are all true economic engines that provide a lot of money to St. Mary Parish. So I'm excited, looking forward to that.
All right. Well, thank you very much as always for coming on the show and
ma'am.
talking to us. Again, we're going to try to follow up with our superintendent. We'll talk more about that sales tax increase in addition to the bonus that she received. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to us on Facebook. We are KWBJ TV 22, but we're also available on YouTube. We're KWBJ Live. Again, thank you and thank you. We'll see you guys next time.